Oh.
Oh man, that's the picture you chose?
Yeah, I thought it was funny.
Looks like a guy trying to hide a couple of chins on my side there. Matt, we ready for the big ad read here?
Oh my God, yep. No better
I can't wait.
transition than to just blatantly state what's going on.
No, it's something we're excited about. Matt, Pigskin fans, the moment you've been waiting for all season is right around the corner. And DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of Super Bowl 55, is bringing back their golden ticket giveaway, something Michael Scott would be proud of, with up to $55 million in prizes up for grabs. All you have to do to get your share of these huge prizes is enter DraftKings' free Super Bowl prediction challenge. Once you submit your picks, you'll get a free instant prize up to $25,000. And if you have the most predictions correct, you could win the top prize of $1 million.
So you heard it here, folks. Download the app now, enter the free prediction challenge, answer the questions like, who will score last? And boom, get ready to make it rain. DraftKings has paid out over $7 billion to its players since 2012, so they know a thing or two about big paydays. All right, everybody, go to the DraftKings app now and use promo code THPN to enter the free $55 million Super Bowl prediction challenge. Everyone gets an instant prize up to $25,000 just for playing. So use promo code THPN now and enter the free $55 million Super Bowl challenge only at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of Super Bowl 55. Terms, conditions, and eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details. All right. Well, Mike, thanks to DraftKings, and the Detroit Red Wings, I'm in the hole. $25, 25 smackaroos, but thank God I used that promo code DHBN so I can make the loss a little bit easier to handle because I got some freebies in there. So highly recommend that, you guys. And even if even if it's not about getting the freebies along with using the promo code, and you do want to jump in, as the state of Michigan can now do the online online mobile betting and the sports booking and all that fun stuff. Support the Hockey Podcast Network. Support us by using the promo code THPN when you sign up at DraftKings. Of course, if you forget, it is right underneath me on the overlay here, so you guys can see that we are now presented by DraftKings. Happy to, especially now that, hey, Mike, we can lose money now and watch the Red Wings. Nothing feels better. Thank God I bet on the over in that game. So I was watching that game going, come on, Blackhawks, come on, one more. And they did it. So I won $10, betting 5.
Hey, beautiful. Yeah. You're back.
No, I was even for the day because I bet the Red Wings to win, and then I bet the over, which, I was listening to somebody talk about it. They said with all these games, we thought, you and I predicted you'd get tighter games in game number 2, but the amount of games that are actually going over the over-under are still, I shouldn't say over the over-under. The goal threshold is still like the same amount between game 1 and game 2. So games are not getting tighter, at least from what they've seen over the first week and a half here, however we want it, 2 weeks, whatever. So that's an interesting little tidbit. But Mike, not so interesting was this series with the Blackhawks.
Yeah, I can't wait to not see them ever again. Holy God Almighty, that was we have something we warned about from 2020, something we were encouraged by the first couple games of the season against Carolina and Columbus. No, none of those goal avalanches like last year. And Chicago just turned that calendar back to 2020. Woo! Did they put a spanking on our Red Wings? Good Lord.
No, Mike, I think we missed the mark. We interviewed Hungry for Hawks Talk podcast, and he said, Mike, he lied to us. He said this team was going to be fighting for bottom of the division with the Red Wings. Obviously not. What a doofus. All right, Hungry for Hawks Talk. You don't know what you're talking about. You have a Stanley Cup contender on your hands. Those guys are unstoppable.
Man, Ryan Suter, huh?
Yeah, his
Or-
good brother.
Or
Pius.
please, sorry, Pius Sewer. Ryan Sewer's got to be excited for
Yeah,
Pius. Sorry, man. There's a friend of the show helping out with that. The wrong
there you
Sewer
go.
brother there. There you go.
You know what's funny is I was really excited to talk about his name, so that's a fun way to jump in there.
Old Bunches.
I
Yeah.
mean,
I can't believe I
can you
screwed that up.
imagine having your little baby boy and looking at him in the face and saying that my friends is that's Pius right there. I don't know. We're gonna have to look up the nationality there, but regardless, he owns Detroit, so it doesn't matter where he's from.
He definitely made some lifelong religious Blackhawk fans out of that performance. So maybe Pius is not such a bad name after all. I mean,
you net your first, your second, you net your third, all in the same game. Yeah, I don't know. Like when we were when we're discussing like to set up this weekend, I could not be more disappointed in myself that we decided to wait till after this game because I actually had energy this morning. The coffee did its work. I was running around the house. We made breakfast. I was having a pretty good day. I even got like I got all excited and did my hashtag wet the beak for the streak.
yeah.
I wish I'd picked something stronger is the problem. So
yeah, I had a nice Red Wings shirt on for the show, and after today's performance, there's only one shirt I could put on, Matt, and that's got to be Kane. Yeah, woo! All right, slightly different Kane, but you get the picture. He loved playing with Pius. Oh my God, there was very little resistance from our Red Wing defensive core. Probably the winner today of least competitive, who actually got a little bit of a benching in the third period. Our boy Anthony Mantha. I don't know if he's working on a Dubois impression, if he's trying to field some offers to go to Winnipeg. But it looked pretty rough today for what was supposed to be one of our top forwards. You could definitely see, you could tell when somebody like Larkin was on the ice today, who was busting his ass, making plays on even strength, on the power play, defensively. I saw his face a few times just in disbelief when he would make these beautiful centering plays, and then they would just get, chopped and bopped and, gone back into our zone. Bertuzzi had 2 goals, of course, and, he looked like he was, contributing, interested. Even as the score started to get more and more lopsided, you could still, feel his presence on the ice. But, that other of the 3-headed Red Wing monster, Mantha, I don't know what's going on, man. I don't know if he's nursing an injury, but it was pretty discouraging.
Yeah, I mean, my problem here is you saw the first period, and he was actually doing pretty good in individual expected goals, and that is the problem when you only use analytics because you could see that he was flat-footed. You could see the shots on net were just it was happenstance. Like it was like, oh, good, it actually got to Mantha that time, and he had space. It wasn't like he was creating it. He looks. Like like you said it looks like he's doing a Pierre-Luc Dubois impression, and it only took one more period for everyone to kind of see, I guess, what I was seeing, and sometimes what we saw last year. But it just kind of feels like maybe it's the start, and he looks at the lineup changes, and at the start of the game, he's listed with Glendening and Nemestikov, and instead of like this is the problem, right? Like this lineup is broken up because you're supposed to look at these guys like Bertuzzi, Larkin, and Mantha and say that they can hold down a line themselves, right? Like when you look at different teams across the league, a guy like, oh, I don't know, Mike, how about Patrick Kane? He gets put on a line with a couple of what do you call them besides what they did today? A couple of nothings. I mean, Pius is getting his first goal today. So it's something where you put anybody with that guy and they're going to look good. What you try to dissect here is, yes, it's one game. It was extremely frustrating to watch, and we have our blogger Jesse. That was the first thing I texted to him was this guy's one of our highest paid players on the team, and he's the most frustrating guy in the world to watch. And you struggle, right? Because you don't. I don't want to turn into like. Sorry if you're watching, but I don't want to turn into our dad, where we used to see like you'd pick the highest paid guy and go, he sucks, even though he's probably having a pretty good season. Like this legitimately like looks like he does not give a shit. So that's where the question starts to come in. Did he look at the lineups today and just kind of say, "Well, I'm just tossing this one in"? Like obviously, if I have to play with Glendening and Nemestikov, I'm not going to be expected to score today. Or should his like do we give that a pass? Do we try and figure out where his head's at, or do we just get more angry because he should look at it as an opportunity to make some offense? I'm going to play with two new fresh faces. Sure, we don't have the chemistry because we haven't been practicing together. We haven't been in training camp together for 2 weeks. Like Bertuzzi, Larkin, and Mantha was the top line. But instead, I mean, we didn't get that. We just got something that, without us knowing more, was a performance that was so poor that even Blashill, to everyone's, like we're everybody's ready to take a dump on Blashill and say this is the reason we lost today. I really don't agree with that. I think if anything, there was a major decision that needed to be made, and Blashill made the right choice. I saw a guy that wasn't putting in effort. I saw a guy that could have looked at today as an opportunity to say, I can pull this line through, every zone, and I'm going to dominate. He could look across the ice and see Patrick Kane and say that I need to live up to that. Like, that's how I'm going to get my next huge payday. None of that happened.
Yeah, it definitely looked like he was looking around and realizing, well, I guess my role changed. I guess I'm a defensive forward now. But then it was a little bit like when you were in middle school and your teacher would be like, all right, everybody line up and face forward. And then like one kid would line up, but then he'd be facing like the word forward and not be facing the direction everybody else is. You said face forward. And Blashill's like, come on, man. I told you to defend the net. You got to get over there. I was in front of the net. Yeah, but you got to like hit the guy or at least, challenge him. You're 6'4". You're basically a Winklevoss twin. You should be pummeling these guys. And oh my goodness. That Rasmussen goal that he gave up with that number 6. Oh, was that ugly. How do you forget you're 6'6" and just double the size of the guy who got around you and scored? It was rough. Not a fun couple games to talk about, Matt. Was there any? I'd say there was at least one encouraging because now that we're getting like baseball series and these games kind of they come together. We're playing the same team a couple times.
Yeah.
The one thing I was going to say because we got to get all the negative stuff out of the way. There had to be something positive out of this, but. No Fabry, no Gagne, no Zadina, no Ernie, and Merrill also scratched today, which meant we got to see the Juice. Woo! Pretty terrifying when the Juice and Filppula and Brome are on your power play. Yeah. But that happened. That happened today. I don't think Filppula was on the power play like in his best days back when he had the bleach blonde hair, but here he is for this Red Wing team, where we gotta ice a second power play. But yeah. The other thing I was just gonna mention is it feels like this team, has zero depth, Matt. That's kind of one of the scary trends. So if Bobby Ryan happens to miss a game, Zadina went down. It just feels like Blashill's just desperately like looking around, trying to, mix and match with Bertuzzi, Larkin, and what we thought was going to be Mantha to try and make sure he can, have more than one credible line out there. And it's just not the case. It just, Larkin was making all these really, impressive, centering plays, breaking the play down, coming up the wing, trying to, get something going on offense. And his skill level is just so much higher than the other his line mates. It didn't work out at all.
I would say this for Larkin. I would say it's not just the skill. This was high effort. This was
Absolutely.
everything you want to see from your captain. Like this was 2 straight games where we saw dog crap. I mean, you could easily say top to bottom. But Larkin, like it's not even about playing that silly game of like, God, he looked the best out of all of the turds. No, Larkin played a hell of a couple of games. Like they were fantastic, and we just had highlight after highlight of him breaking in and trying to score. And even on the chances where he's not putting it in, you're just seeing this guy who looks frustrated and just says, I like it's another unfortunately tough to measure from a statistics standpoint until you say, oh good, it's a high danger scoring chance because Larkin got right up front. But from that person that point of where do you start to mix in like that the old farts in Moneyball where they're saying that guy's got high compete, but that's it right there. Like that was Larkin. He's just taking the puck from his own team and trying to get the puck out in front of the net and put one in. We saw it pay off in the first game against the Blackhawks, and then we had one that just barely didn't make it past the toe against Chicago today. And I just, if there's the positive for me, it's that Larkin's not turning it off. It's whatever the conversation was with Steve Yzerman before the season started really resonated. It's that we did actually pick a legitimate leader and a guy we saw all last season talking to the media when this team couldn't find a win. And he still would stand up and make his best a comment as he could to make sure he's still not running his team down, but making sure he knows like you guys gotta get your shit together. But what we're seeing now is also a combination of like maturity from a selection standpoint. So we see these moves where he is going up front to the net, and they're good timing. It's not something where he's doing this, and we've seen it in years past where he kind of turns up the. I don't want to say he's just turning up speed. He's not just turning up effort. He's just trying, anything, pinching a little bit harder, and trying to get that puck out in front of the net. It's if anything, it's not going to hurt us in any way. It's not a detriment. It's not anything where he's putting himself out of position. It's all of this is kind of coming together. And Dylan Larkin, like this might have been like the perfect season to make him the captain because everything just looks legit. It looks hot. It looks top level, elite level hockey player. And it's one of those things where, how are you going to define elite? But I like to think we have at least a broad enough definition between, us all NHL fans of what that elite player is. It really does look like he's coming into his own. And it does start with, for me, that high level of compete, unfortunately. Hard to measure. Got to use the eyeball test. But I do see a lot of the experience and his hockey smarts coming into play here too. So I'm finding it tougher to find a lot of positives out of this. But I don't know if you could say any shift by Dylan Larkin in these last 2 games wasn't. I don't know if must-watch TV is a little too strong for this because we still lose 4-1 and 6-2, but it legit is exciting. It's something back in the days when we were watching playoff hockey. You were holding your breath until you could get another Datsuk shift while we were in the playoffs because it seemed like he was the only guy that was at certain times he was putting on the best scoring chances, and we're getting that again now. It's just that the avalanche, for lack of a better word, of goals that just keeps piling on top of Larkin and his high effort just seems to be too much right now. And a lot of that goes with what we're missing, right? I mean, I tweeted out after the first game, you're competing against Blashill's poor choice, which we haven't gotten into yet, of 11 forwards and 7 defensemen, which really mixed up those forward lines and really broke up any sort of chemistry you were going to get because he pretty much forced himself to be juggling the entire game. But you're battling Blashill's poor decisions and COVID, and it's just too much. You can't lose Fabry and Zadina and sit there and go, this team should be able to compete at a high level. No, like if you're mad at someone in that regard, and I'm sorry, now I've got another idea that I want to rant on.
That's the name of the show, man. It's okay.
If you're mad at someone in that regard when the team loses to second line, I mean, based on how this team performs on a night-to-night basis, you could make the argument at certain times they've been the first line. You lose two top six forwards on a team that had the worst team in the NHL last year and one of the worst teams to ever play in the NHL. You will absolutely look like dog crap. So you can't get mad at Blashill for that. I don't think he's doing a good job as a coach. But you lose two top six forwards. You don't get mad at Blashill for that. And I'm certainly not mad at Yzerman for not filling out a team this year that has a lot of depth. There's so many holes to fix. I think what this was, Mike, was more an eye-opener. The same as last season when we had the hot start. We had 4 goals from Mantha. We were flying pretty high. We were kind of thinking like, hey, we're going to compete this year, despite the rest of the NHL's media coverage saying, no, we're going to stink. I think all this is another eye-opening moment for how many times we've heard Steve Yzerman dance around the question of what's your timetable for this team, and we're seeing more meaning to it. It's just there's so much here that needs to be filled out. I don't see anybody we're looking into from a Grand Rapids Griffins perspective just yet. Yeah. And we're still, God, even when we watch, these SHL games or the World Juniors, those kids are still a couple years away. We'll get an improvement when Lucas Raymond, which we all hope is coming over next season. Jesus, we don't even know at this point. I'd be hard pressed to say I'm 100% certain he's coming over next year, but all of this put together, like, I think we just have to realize that this is reality for a little bit longer. Like, I can't get too mad at Blashill. I'm definitely never going to be mad at, not yet. We're not mad at Yzerman because he's got to build this team, but you can't look at this game and just get too worked up on whatever decisions are going on, because we don't have enough. We flat out don't have enough talent. Oh man, we have a lot of comments.
I just wish that there was something. If we're going to be down Zadina and Fabry, understandably, I can expect us, maybe to get, instead of 3, my God, even 4 goals. That's an optimistic number because we don't have a lot of scoring lines. I'd expect us to score a little bit less, right? But ideally, if you don't have goal scorers, I feel like at least the strategy of the team, when they're on the ice, should maybe, hunker down a little bit more defensively. And instead, it's not like we lost our top defenders in Fabry and Zadina. There are a couple guys we lean on for goals. So the roster was, a little bit thin. Lions juggled a little bit, and we went back to caving in and giving up 6 goals. This is where, you can kind of start to, question, what the heck's going on out there. If, if you're not going to score, fine, at least bring something to the table. Bring, let's see, like you said, that compete level, just show some effort on defense. And there was some notable, like, scary lapses where it feels like, man, we still didn't plug that up. Like, it's been a couple years. We're not asking you to put a hat trick on the board, but my God, use your length, use your size. Maybe not give up these easy ping pong goals where 3 to 4 clean passes are happening in our own zone. It's just something that makes you want to dread watching Red Wing hockey and talking about it, because it's hard to watch. It's they just look so mismatched sometimes when just the tiniest little imbalance of the equilibrium of every single player being healthy that they ideally want to ice. I wish there was just a little. I don't mind losing 2-1 or 3-2, but man, going back to these, what was it? Was it 4-1 on Friday?
4-1 and 6-2 against a really, predictably bad Chicago Blackhawks team. But I do have to give a shout out real quick. LBT thrown out there. Mantha is looking bad, and DW3X with the angry emojis also thrown out there. We are shite. There's the correction there. I mean, this is the point we're at already. Like 6 games in, we're feeling pretty good at 2-2, but you go down to this team. I mean, this really is the eye opener, Mike. Like I said, it sucks. I think what'll be interesting going forward, like what do we do with the benching of Mantha? Are we still just holding our breath till we get Sedina and Fabry back?
I mean, I could have seen this game being, like 5-4, 6-5 if we had all our guns, because Chicago had a lot of breakdowns where it wasn't quite where it wasn't as bad as our defense, but there's definitely a couple of times where the Red Wings were able to control the play. And based on this, 6 games we've seen so far this season, we've been notorious for doing one and dones, not sustaining pressure. But we had a couple opportunities today, to try and control it based on what Chicago was bringing to the table, and we just couldn't bring it home, or we couldn't connect the right pass. And I don't think Chicago's a world beater. I don't think they're going to be making any noise in the playoffs.
No, they're not going anywhere near the playoffs. They're going to.
They probably feel
right
good playing Detroit a couple more times this season, but
I mean, like statistically, the problem is you're talking about the secondary chances. Our best chances today, Mike, our leader in high danger scoring chances was Franz Nielsen. So you paint a picture, like a broad stroke, every time you look at the analytics of a game, and you say this team had more puck possession, or this team had the better chances on net. But that's where, if you only look at it on that top layer, it's not going to tell the whole story. Now, Mike, would you like to take a guess based on our 6-2 2-goal game? Would you like to take a guess as who's number 2 on the high danger scoring chance list for today's game?
After Franz Nielsen?
I'm sorry?
You said after Nielsen?
After Nielsen. Two goals for the Red Wings. Mike, who's number 2 on the high danger scoring chances list?
Was it the 2s? Was it the 2s?
Yes. Sorry, I wasn't trying to trick you there.
Yeah, I was like, was it Mantha? My God. No. What's this statistic even mean? Okay.
That's where you go, oh, okay, so this thing does actually mean something sometimes.
Okay.
You get number 2 on the team with high danger scoring chances. And another thing to your point, with these games getting out of hand, you also heard Eddie Olchuk during the game talk about this game and last game, Bertuzzi really having some juicy chances and just not being able to follow through. And then we also talked in our last episode of the podcast where you look at expected goals for and expected goals against, and you're always breaking that. Whenever somebody scores, they're always going above and beyond what the expected goals is, because you're not normally going to see somebody have so many great chances that the expected goals is going to say 2, 3, or 4 for one person. It's going to be pretty low. And that's why, I mean, how many skaters are on the ice, and a couple of guys are going to score every game, right? So it's just to that point of how extremely difficult it is for this team to score. But you need the right guys to be getting these high danger scoring chances. And if we're going to, this is a theme now through 6 games, is that the entire strategy has been to limit chances. So when we saw Mantha score a couple games ago, he had a puck drop to his on the power play, smack him right in the stick. He wasn't doing anything special, but being where he was supposed to be for the power play. Rebound goes right to his stick, wide open net, boom, scores. With a team who limits chances, you have to score on those. Now, when your team is decimated by COVID and you get the same high danger scoring chances.
Actually, Matt, fun fact, actually the correct use of that word. Decimated means like basically 1 out of 10 is gone. So you nailed it. Beautiful use of the word decimated. I like it a lot.
So with that being the case, your high danger scoring chance, instead of going to a Zadina, instead of going to a Fabry, instead of having your second line actually be what the second line's supposed to be, Franz Nielsen leads in high danger scoring chances for the Red Wings today. So to that point, things can start I'm going to use this word again, but or I guess I don't want to say what I was about to say, but things start to pile on top of you. This game becomes 6-2 because you see the Red Wings really start to give up. You saw Mantha give up so much that he was benched. That's how it got to 6-2. But if that's not Franz Nielsen getting those juicy, unbelievable, juicy second, third whacks at the puck in front of the net, if that's anybody else, that game is now. Let's say he puts that in. I think at the time it would have made it a 1-goal game.
Yeah.
That the whole trajectory changes. And again, if that's not Nielsen and COVID's not getting in the way, you have an actual line that's going to keep playing the entire game. You have Bobby Ryan on the line that he was doing fantastic with. You can keep Mantha, Larkin, and Bertuzzi together, and maybe Mantha's getting enough shots on net that he's not throwing up the white flag after 20 minutes of this game. I think when you're trying to, again, you take a look at those analytics from a team perspective and you look at the top layer and you see that the Red Wings didn't do so bad in scoring chances. They didn't do so bad in possession. They did pretty good in expected goals. And when you see who's bringing in the expected goals, it can't be Nielsen. And that's again, that goes back to are we really going to sit here and say Blashill needs to get fired after this game? No.
Yes. Oh.
I think
Yeah.
I think we have I think we're on schedule, right? And by that I mean we're supposed to be bad this year. If anything, we overperformed winning 2 games to start the season in the first 4 games, right? I mean, I hate to say it, but
it should just be if if you're thinking about firing up the DraftKings app, making some bets, and you want to bet for the Red Wings, make sure they're at home. Make sure 0 of their top 6 forwards are injured. Make sure they're not playing a team that prioritizes goal scoring instead of defense because we don't have the guns. So then your fourth thing, half the time you're golden. There you go. So everybody healthy. Non-scoring team. 50-50. And be at home. Then you got a pretty good shot of winning some money. Otherwise, bet against.
And I think we did a pretty good job with some discovery here, kind of trying to put this together on how did this happen off the cuff. But I like to think that's our main sticking point here is don't get too overly excited. The schedule again for Red Wings fans is that we were supposed to suck this year. So I mean, here's the thing,
right?
Mike.
Right on pace, pacing nicely. Yep, absolutely.
Right. I liked the point I've heard on some rival podcasts about bringing in a new coach and the amount of time you'd have to wait, probably 14 days before you can bring in another coach. So what are you doing in those next 14 days? And this is a 56 game season. So, I mean, there's so many things to measure here, folks. If anything, you just have to stomach Blashill for the shortest season you're going to watch. Well, I guess outside of lockout seasons. So just, it sucks, right? But there's absolutely 0 point to forcing this right now. And I don't anticipate, Mike, anybody else is going to be making a coaching change or a ton of coaching changes happening. So whatever's available to you right now will be available to you at the end of the season. And don't forget, people talk about it all the time, like going to a team that's not going to win a Stanley Cup from a player perspective. I'm fairly certain that this is not the time for us to go, we need a top level coach. Come on and fix it. Like, there's nothing to fix. There's not enough there.
There's nothing that a coaching change, I think, would fix, is what you're saying.
Right. I think some people could make the argument from a player development perspective, like if we had a different coach, maybe they're going to learn to play a different way that will help them become a better hockey player going forward. But I mean, are we saying that like Mantha's done with his development? Because like if we are,
I hope he's not a finished product.
Well, here's the thing. Like, I mean, what do you change to get him to like not be dragging his feet?
Yeah, I mean, I still think that the case against Blashill is just
it's so
I know
he will not be on this team for much longer.
I know
But there's 0 point to doing it now.
Yeah, there's no point to do it now, but still, I don't know if I don't know how good it feels to write those checks for his pay when it's another 6-2 shellacking. And nobody's playing defense. Like it doesn't feel like we looked at the big dry erase board from 2020 and put like a big X on it and said, all right, we're gonna not do that anymore. And then 2021 rolled around and they're like, all right, did nobody see the 2020 dry erase board? We're still doing it. All right, we gotta stop hanging our heads. It's just a goal. This is hockey. A 2-goal lead is nothing. We can come right back. And instead, the Red Wings are like, oh yeah, now it's a 3-goal lead. What do you think of that, Jeff? Smack. And here we are. So
I just I hope nobody misses like the idea here that we don't want to keep Jeff Blashill. There's other priorities that need to get fixed. But yeah, I think to bring it up again and to keep telling Twitter, keep telling social media Blashill needs to get fired. He will. He'll be gone. Or he doesn't even need to get fired. The contract will be up. But this team, it wasn't going to do much better.
Do a little bit like when we signed Grice as our goalie to platoon with Bernier. It's more like a base control experiment, right? So we know that we don't have a roster. So what's the point in changing a coach? What are you going to glean from that? You're going to have another coach. You're going to be paying Blashill to be unemployed, having pina coladas in the Caribbean, while this other coach is just, also going bald, Blashill style, pulling his hair out.
That is a really great point. With the amount of money that these teams are saying they're losing by playing and not having an open arena for fans, do they really want to be paying 2 people right now? And we're not talking about, salaries and salary caps. We're just talking straight up revenues and expenses, profit and loss. So I think as much as they can limit, you go for a bargain barrel coach, you've got it. And don't forget, Mike, when we spoke to Ryan Lambert, he said, why bother get a coach that's any better than this when you want that first pick? If anything, Mike, we can walk away from this and go, oh my God, guess who's dead last in the division? Well, almost dead last. We'll be hoping the Dallas Stars take down the Predators, but we'll be facing the Stars right after that, starting on Tuesday. We've got them Tuesday and Thursday, Mike. Here's the thing. Dallas had all their opening games canceled up until that Predators game. And then they played their first game this season and won 7-0 over the Nashville Predators. So I'm curious to see what happens tonight. And they play the Predators at 8:00 tonight. But I got to say, it was scary from the beginning when we saw that the Stanley Cup runner-up would also be in our division, and obviously Tampa Bay's in it too. So we knew this was going to be tough, but man, that 7-0 shellacking. Oh boy, I don't know if it was just like the extra practices Dallas got before they had to hit the ice or what, but they're 1-0 and have a weak looking Red Wings team who's right now hurt pretty bad by COVID. So we'll see. Hopefully somebody comes back by Tuesday.
Yeah, I mean, at least pad those DraftKings numbers. That's what the Red Wings are trying to do. They're trying to stack it up, right? They're planning on giving up a nice 7 spot this week, huh?
Just got to remind everybody too that promo code THPN will come into play. So if you want to bet on the Red Wings, you'll have some leeway with some of the free gifts you'll get for joining with the Hockey Podcast Network. So I don't know. It's rough. You get those puck lines, you get the plus 1.5, and I kind of like in my head, I'm going, we're not going to get destroyed by Chicago twice. So I didn't just outright pick the Red Wings. I just picked the puck line, and man, am I bummed. But again, still happy I broke even with the over-under bet. Okay, so Mike, where do we go from here? I think it's time we sail off into the sunset. Let's cross our fingers on the Dallas Stars. Coming up.
We got to do our fun segments. Didn't you have a Be the GM for us?
Oh, that's right. I totally forgot. I think I'm gonna have to go find it right now on our Twitter account. But we do have this fun thing. All right. I'm still looking.
Love that music. You should have queued up the Who's That Pokemon. I'm ready to roll, son.
Well, here's the question, Mike. I'll just
All right.
pose it since I can't find it.
That's
My
okay.
chair.
Fire it away, man. What do you got?
Well, it was right when Pierre-Luc Dubois, the drama was really turned up, and I threw out there, look, guys, if we want, and obviously this is before this game, I was like, if we want Pierre-Luc Dubois, we're gonna have to give up Stuff and a Mantha. So I was saying, are you prepared to give up Stuff
What
and
are you prepared to do?
exactly? And I'd like to say, Mike, that my answer has certainly changed after today, but like in a landslide. Yes, 65% are ready to we're ready to get rid of Mantha before this game even happened. So this this is kind of where we're at right now, is that this has definitely changed.
Yeah.
Because
This was a shocking trade, by the way. I still feel like I kind of feel like Columbus definitely came out on top. They had a disgruntled player. I feel like you could have bought low on him, and Winnipeg gave up Line, who, good Lord, what a goal scorer! I didn't think you'd have to give up that much for a guy, with a full diaper.
well, here's yeah, I get what you're saying there. I thought it was interesting that the way, I mean, it does suck. I'm about to say this, but we had to watch Mike Babcock between periods, and his thoughts on this were you've got two guys that don't want to be where they're currently at, and now they're someplace they want to be. Mike, there's nothing.
Nobody wants to go to Columbus. Ugh.
Nobody wants to go to Winnipeg. That's what my point was going to be. The whole argument with PLD was he wanted to go to a bigger market. I don't believe that in any shape or form. Like I'm sorry, I don't believe that was the only thing. But if it was, it definitely wasn't solved by going to Winnipeg, where the joke that was going around was, there's no airport. So with that being bantied about,
Did he take a train to Winnipeg?
yeah. With that being bantied about, like, how do you really look at this and say that he got placed in a spot where he's going to all of a sudden perform better?
Yeah.
I get, Mike, from a production standpoint. I think from goal scoring standpoint, you are looking at Line being the better of the two.
Yeah.
I mean, you pick up a Pierre-Luc Dubois because of his two-way abilities. I agree with you that the two-way abilities are high for Pierre. I do think, yeah, that the Blue Jackets won on this trade. It's unbelievable to me that a guy that needed to leave so badly fetched that much when everybody knew that the Blue Jackets needed to move this guy. So it's
and they were in a rush to do it. I mean,
yeah.
he was openly protesting being a Blue Jacket on the ice, super unprofessional, and that didn't deter Winnipeg at all. They're like, fuck it, you can have one of our best players. Yeah, he kind of doesn't, he's kind of upset we don't have an airport. He's tired of riding the tutu around the great provinces of Canada. But
he was scoring, though.
Incredible job by that Blue Jacket GM. Incredible job. So if Matt RB, the GM, would you trade Mantha and got, hopefully not a first round pick, but Mantha and Kibbles and Bits? I would still do it. I still would have done it. I will take proven over potential any day of the week. And Mantha, we're still waiting for him to prove it. Doob. He's got the numbers. So won't be happening for us, but it was a nice thought while it lasted.
Yeah, I think at this point too.
Let me just ask a quick line change question.
Sure.
Matt, do you think that Yzerman made a call?
Yeah, there's a report that the Red Wings were involved early, and then we dropped off.
It might have been a call like, all right, we just want maybe, I don't know, one of your players and maybe a 6th round pick. Whoa, let me stop you there. All right. Have you heard how much I love draft picks? You're not getting any of our picks. All right. And then they hung up. So, Matt, before we go, do you want to try and do a Who's That Pokemon?
Yeah, let's do it.
I'm really excited for this one too. All right.
I'm sorry I was wrapping up early, but I'm so bummed by this game. All right, everybody, it's time for
Pokemon! Starring head coach Jeff Blanchard, as read by friend of the show and color commentator for your Detroit Red Wings, Paul Woods. My God, he's back again. Matt, this quote, I'm very excited to read. It was from a fluff piece on NHL.com/Red Wings. Definitely some core cutting analytics there. So, Matt, if you're buckled in, I got the quote ready for you. What we're going to do is Matt's got to guess which player is being talked about. Matt, are you buckled in?
I'm ready to go.
All right. It's a really fun one, especially after the last two games that we've had. But here we go. Hey, everybody, it's your old buddy Paul Woods here, ready to read a quote from this excellent Detroit Red Wing team. Very proud of the city of Detroit. Wow, what a hockey team they field, huh? Here we go. This is a quote from head coach Jeff Blashill talking about the excellent Detroit Red Wings. My God, they already have 2 wins this season. Here we go. I think Blank has done a good job, has impressed in a lot of ways. He's a good pro. He just comes in and does work. There's not a lot else to worry about. He just totally does his job, and he's done a good job at it. End quote. So, Matt, you need to think about the whole roster on this one. This one's really wide open because everybody's doing such a great job. You got to narrow it down to one guy doing such a particularly good job that Jeff Blashill dropped his name. Now,
all right,
so this is a fluff piece. It's on NHL.com/Red Wings. Does that help lead the witness? Here we go.
I'm going to say it's Mark
Let
Stahl.
me give you one more hint. He has arguably done a pretty good job.
Oh, okay.
Arguably done a good job. It's not as sarcastic as it could have been. Here we go.
That's why I said Mark Stahl when you kept saying it's a flex piece. Like they said, all right, we've got to brand this guy.
He's been really tall. He's been really tall for us.
He comes to work.
He clocked in. He's tall. He did a great belly flop on that last Blackhawk goal. Oh man, it's great.
All right, so then I'm gonna say if we're talking a workhorse, and he's not saying it's not like he sat there and said, "Hey, he's blowing up the stat sheet." Let's go easy. Let's go Luke Glendening.
Ooh, Matt with a Luke Glendening. Matt,
you had to check your sheet.
The streak is broken. It was Grice. Sorry, Matt.
Oh, all right. Well, I mean,
this piece was written 3 days ago.
I mean, I don't know how I got that wrong with all those solid clues that I got. It's a fluff piece.
Good job. Fluff.
read it.
Woods read it. That was a lot, man. I basically handed it to you.
I don't feel bad about that one at all. Hey, this guy came to work today. All right, Matt. Who's he talking about?
I said arguably he's done a pretty good job. So that cut off like 3/4 of the team immediately.
You should have said he doesn't have COVID. All right.
That would have helped, actually. Yeah. That would have knocked out quite a few players.
I should get like lifelines or like you know how you play Guess Who kind of thing, and I can say, does he have a mustache? Like I'll say, does your player wear a goalie helmet? Yeah. It's Thomas Grace. Can you guess who? It's a mystery. That's a whole other game, man. This is that Pokemon. Is he a top line forward who got benched? All right.
Ooh. So many options.
All right. I think.
By the way, do you think after because we had so few forwards today, we tried to bench Mantha, but he had to go back on the ice because then we had to bench Rasmussen for a few minutes. But then he was back out there because then we had to bench, Nielsen for you get where I'm going with this, but
right. No, it's just it kind of felt like Blashill went, oh right, we have to do line changes.
This isn't just a line change. All right, you're benched for a few lines, and then it'll be your turn. But consider yourself benched.
You know what? Rest up. Yeah, how do you like that?
Listen, we got a few guys in the box. You're still benched, but I need you to ice. I need you on the field, on the ice.
I'll do a line change question. Mike, on the bench, Hirose gets tagged to go on the ice on the power play.
You're in.
Does
Woo!
Blashill go in Mantha's ear and say, "You're benched," or does he say, "Hirose, get out there"? And Mantha turns around and he's like, "Don't worry about it. It's just a thing. I'm just trying." What's more likely, that Blashill gave Mantha the menacing "you're benched" whispered into his ear, maybe a little bleh, like just to really get at him, just to really send a shiver up his spine, or when Mantha turned around to realize that he was benched, Blashill was just like, "No, that's fine. It's just a one, we're just trying this out. We're gonna try. Just watch. See what happens."
I think this is what happened. All right, next power play, I'm gonna need Hirose out there, and then Mantha's like, and then
Turns
Blashill's
around. For those listening to the podcast, Blashill put up his notes in front of his face so that we couldn't catch his eyes. This will be a fun test of everybody's patience on that bench. If if the respect really is there for Blashill, considering it's not anywhere near for Red Wings fans, but if he makes choices like that on the top guys on the team, we know he's not Torts. Like, we know he's a player's coach. So I just wonder, like, what happens when a Blashill does that compared to.
I'm just so excited for our next game, man.
To face Dallas with a +7 goal differential.
Yeah, I want to see if they can, get double digits. But I also want to see. All right, Blashill's like, all right, throwing the kitchen sink out there. Right, I tried 7 defensemen. You know what? Tonight, no defensemen. We're just throwing all forwards out there. You guys get in the taxi cab. Nope. You too, Horner. I don't have a Horner right now. Get on the cab. All right, we're doing all forwards. Let's see what happens. We might give up 15, but by God, we're getting 3 tonight. I can't wait.
I know which direction I'm going in with my next DraftKings bet. I said I wasn't going to react to a single game.
This is going to get tough. This is going to get Vegas tough because they're about to put that line at Dallas winning by like 6 goals. You're like, oh man, that's like right on the money. Oh.
I might just stick with over/under going forward on these Wings games and just keep picking the over. It seems like a good bet.
Yeah.
Or you know what? That's a bad call because it didn't work out the game right before this. So
yeah,
never mind. Okay. So that's Red Wings Rant.
My favorite part of this show is the last 6 minutes when it turns into Red Wing Roast instead of Red Wings Rant. That's my favorite part.
I hope people make it this far.
We might have to do some edits to put this in the beginning and then in the middle and the end.
I'll put it as like the tease, so then people are like, when are they gonna talk about it? And then it's the very last thing.
This was because most of this show was like the Franz Nielsen shifts, and then the last 6 minutes was Larkin peppering it in from the end board. So
let's sail off into the sunset.
Let's do it, buddy.
As our good friend Stone Cold says. Everybody, thanks for tuning in. Sorry, the episode was a little erratic. The notes are definitely lacking today. I'm going to struggle to put up our silly little blog with each episode that we do because I don't want to write about this game, but I have to. So check that out. It's bodpodcast.com/Red Wings Rant. We'll have our thoughts typed out. And also keep an eye out. We're doing our 4 Dummies series. So we have covered each NHL team so far. Blackhawks, Blue Jackets, and Carolina Hurricanes. That means we do have our Dallas Stars for Dummies coming out this week. So we'll have that out early, either Monday or Tuesday, so you guys can catch up with what's going on with the Stars. And also follow along with our predictions where, Mike, if you're paying attention, I am dead last in our predictions team. Actually, I think we all might be tied for last based on, if we're using puck line or whatever. We're all pretty terrible, but maybe we'll get better once we get used to what's going on here. But those, of course, are presented by DraftKings, as is the show. So we remind you to use promo code THPN to get all those bennies once you get logged in on the app of the DraftKings Sportsbook, which again is now available in Michigan. Highly recommend it. It is adding a little more juice to these games, Mike. That they're definitely going to need it. Can't just put Christian juice in there, Mike. You got to throw $5 on the Red Wings to win to get really excited.
That's right.
Get it, Christian juice. All right, let's wrap this up. That was pretty bad. All right, thanks for tuning in, everybody.